Good evening, and welcome to the Cynthia Jones Show. Real talk, no scripts, no cue cards, but we're bringing it to you live, straight from the top. Our topic for the month has been building healthy relationships. Our first segment, we dealt with security, finances, and which is our main topic, love. And we understood from these angles, these are some of the things that we need to work on. Our second topic, or issues that we had to deal with, we had to do the meat of the subject. And we had to define unhealthy relationship. In order to build a healthy relationship, we had to deal with some of the unhealthy things that's in a relationship. And we dealt with verbal abuse, we dealt with emotional abuse, and we dealt with physical abuse. And this segment of the show, we're going to talk about true happiness. After we've come through all the unhealthy issues, now we at a point in a relationship we're taking ownership, and now we're building our relationship on happiness. And I would like to elaborate from my first book, my first love relationship book, and some of you all have followed me with this book, and some of you all have never heard of the book. But what we're going to do, we're going to take a couple of segments out of my first published book and talk about a piece that I wrote, and it's entitled, What Really Brings True Happiness? What really brings true happiness in life? True happiness in life is when an individual has a true relationship with Christ for him or herself. Christ being the main focus of a person's life enhances the individual to understand as well as to teach the over concept of being happy. True happiness paved the way for a brighter future God has predestined for his or her purpose in life. A purpose-driven life causes an individual to be productive and wiser in decision-making. Building relationships with your children, extended family members, having also been known to be a great tool in addition to love, conversation, and various forms of sharing, has been another way to improvise true happiness that comes from the heart. So you have to understand that when you're going toward true happiness, you have to understand what it means to another individual. You have to understand their likes and dislikes. And once you begin to understand their likes and dislikes, then you have to be mindful. If a person tells you within the relationship that this is something that they do not like, you have to decipher when to implement certain things, when to talk about certain things, because you don't want to make that person revisit those unhappy places. So you have to allow the person to understand your happiness. And as you are telling them about your happiness, they too have to understand and respect and to know what it calls for you to be happy. And once you two have come to a mutual agreement on what makes you happy and what makes him happy, then can you continue to build this relationship on healthy, mature situations that you can occur and you can talk about through conversations and through actions. Now, in my first relationship book, my book kind of helps you to find ways to be more at ease with each other. So I'm going to deal with you concerning a few topics that I shared in my first published relationship book. And this part of the book is called Creative Ideas. This is talking about topics that you can trust And how well can you trust your mate? Now, in this part of my first relationship book, it asks the question, do you trust your mate to go with your friend and not flirt? These are some issues that you need to be able to discuss. Let's say, for instance, if you had a friend that needed a ride home, and because he or she had a problem with their vehicle, could you trust your mate? This is the time that you need to discuss these things. Don't get in a heavy relationship and then you want to start discussing these things and then it's become a problem. But while you're in the process of dating, these are some issues. That's why we talked about security. These are the issues that you should have already overcome. If your friend had a problem with his or her vehicle and they called to the house, could you feel comfortable enough to send your spouse out to help? If it was a lady friend, would you trust him to go out and help the young lady and assist her home or assist her to wherever she needs to go, whether it be work or wherever? Would you be able to feel like you can trust him? And if the answer is yes, great. You are moving to a healthy relationship. What if your friend had to come over and spend the night because of an emergency that was at your friend's home and you had to go to work? Could you trust your spouse to be home alone with your friend? Something to think about, isn't it? Something to think about. If you are at a point where you trust your mate, you love or understand the ins and outs of your relationship, and you can say yes, amen, you are moving forward to a healthy relationship. And these are some of the issues that you need to discuss, whether you're in it or whether you're moving forward to it or whether you're trying to strengthen it. You're trying to build security, protection around your relationship, honesty, and trust around your relationship. Another question to find out how well you can trust your mate. Ask your mate, do you trust yourself to be home alone with the opposite sex until your mate arrives? Do you trust your mate to take your friend home? Can you trust your mate to take your friend home? And if you can say yes, amen, you are moving forward to a healthy relationship. Now, we're going to make it a little bit difficult as we move forward with the next questions. And these are some issues that people have a tough time answering. But how well can you trust your mate? Do you have a hard time getting your mate to believe what you say? Let me ask that question again. Do you have a hard time getting your mate to believe what you say? If you are at a point in your relationship and they still got to explain, I was over my mama's house and my mama asked me if I could go to the store for her, and I went to the store for my mama and I met somebody. If you got to still explain that you got to go to the store for your mama, you are not at a level of maturity. You ought to be at the level of maturity that wherever you go, as long as you've told your mate, if y'all have that agreement that we tell each other where we go, and we check in with each other every now and again, it's all right. But if you got to tell them every move, if you got to tell them I was over here for 5 minutes, then I went over here for 10 minutes, and then they got to call your phone and you didn't answer, and then you all disturbed because they're going to get mad with you and you're going to be in a doghouse. You are not in a healthy relationship. You're not in a healthy relationship. You need to work on it. You need to keep working until y'all can get to the point of security in that relationship. Do you have a hard time expressing the way you feel to your mate? If your mate is coming to you and they're telling you that they had a rough day at work or wherever it may be, and you're not making time for your mate, and you're telling them that that is not of importance, you are not ready to build a healthy relationship. You have just allowed that feeling that they are feeling to be penetrated in their heart as though you don't care. And then they find other ways to release it, and they go out talking to other people. You don't want that to happen. You want to give attentive ear to your mate. You want to make him or her feel as important as what they said, that is, if the boss was talking to you and giving you your assignment for the day. You want to make sure that your significant other understand that what they say to you is very important, is very essential, and that you're listening to them. And woman of God, if your husband by any chance have told you that, baby, I've been looking and listening to your car, and your car ain't sounding right, and don't look like it's running right, and she got to go by a mechanic shop and get his opinion. Her husband already told her, the significant other already told her that he see and hear that it's not running right. Now she got to call somebody else. Well, let me ask you something. Can you come over here and take a look at my car and tell me if you hear or see anything going on with it? And he gonna charge you. Oh, you best believe he gonna charge you, sweetheart. Your significant other has already spoken. Your husband already told you that there's something going on with your car. And so he says, well, okay, now we're going to be in agreement. But no, you want to take somebody else's word and he going to charge you. So be mindful. If you want to take it to the mechanic anyway, still listen to him. You may still have to take it to the mechanic and let him fix it. Or he might even offer and say, well, baby, I kind of know what the problem is, and let me see if this would work. And if this don't work, then we'll take it to the mechanic so we can save some money. No, you done jumped ahead of him. And you done took it to the mechanic, and now the mechanic done charge you an arm and leg. Now you want to come back to him and ask him if he will go half and half with you. You need to think about what you're doing. And so that when he is conversating with you, listen to him. And man of God, listen to the woman of God. She told you many times, she said, baby, then listen. Now I know you like that tie. And I know you like that certain jacket, but that ain't matching. It ain't looking right. You need to kind of revamp the way you dressing, baby. That hat ain't going with that suit. And you walk on out like you going to the business meeting, and get to the business meeting and everybody's smiling and looking around. They come to find out it's a little off-centered. The color is not coordinating. There's two different blues. And people is looking at you, and now they're laughing at you as a mockery. When she have tried to warn you and let you understand that you were not coordinating for the day. It might sound minute, but I promise you, it's happening. It is happening. And so you need to make sure that you are listening to one another. And find times when you can come together and say, baby, I like to spruce it up a little bit. I suggest you spruce it up a little bit. Sometimes you do your own little show at the house. You do your own wardrobe show. You can do your own, dress ups. Your fashion show. Do a fashion show and put some music on. And parade around the house for each other. And then, you reward each other at the end of the show. Amen? We're trying to build healthy relationships. And to those that are married, we want to make sure you continue to spruce it up. Amen. I know I've gone out places, I've been in a restaurant, and I've seen couples come in, and they happy. Oh, they happy. He done opened the door for his young lady, and he done took her coat off and put it behind the chair and scooped the chair out and pushed her up, and the waitress or come and take the order, and they just over there laughing and having a good time, hee-hawing with each other, all up in each other's face like they ain't seen each other, and going with each other home day and night. That's a blessing. It's very encouraging to see our older couples still hanging out there, still having date nights. It's truly a blessing when you can still see him gleaming in her eyes and she's smiling. And I'm making this just a little funny, but he ain't got none but one little tooth dangling right there in the front. But that's all right. She love it. She said, baby, that's all right. Your teeth can dangle because I'm going to get you some dentures. That's a blessing. It's truly a blessing when y'all can keep on loving up on each other. You done made it to the next level. You done made it to the people where now people are looking at you. And they see you in the restaurants, and they see you out at church. They see you riding out together, and they're complimenting you. It's a blessing. Keep up the good work. You all have built healthy relationships.